So we wanted to say hi, you guys. My name is Christy. I'm the Director of Business Development. Hi, come on in. There's munchies around the corner. Sorry for you that aren't here. I brought munchies, so some of them's going to be in the fridge, I'm guessing. So make sure you guys get that. But I'm the Director of Business Development for Twin Termite, and I've got Charles here, one of our top home inspectors, especially
Being camera view.
in this. I don't know, you probably can. I go this way.
There we go.
Okay, go. That works. Does that work? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Charles is one of our home inspectors, especially in this area. So a lot of you, especially on Zoom, might have seen or been in contact with Charles. So he's definitely a familiar face down in this area, but we're just happy to be here more than anything.
Yeah.
And we wanted today just to kind of go over what we do as a company for those that may not know who we are, where we came from. I'm going to give you just a quick little spiel on that. As far as, do I go forward on the arrow maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay. So we've been in business for a little over 16 years. Our owner, Kyle Finley, actually started this business after he was a termite inspector himself up in Roseville. Realized that a lot of the inspections that he was doing were for real estate agents and the real estate community. So he decided that he wanted to kind of learn all the pain points of what the real estate agents had and the ways that we can help improve as a termite inspection company. And then he decided to open up his own company. So that's kind of started out of his garage. He had twin girls. He's actually an identical twin himself who had identical twin girls. And that kind of inspired him to start a business called Twin Termite. Originally, he was working with his twin brother. They've now broken up and they work together on competitive businesses, which is actually very funny and also productive.
Yeah, it's
Somehow.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah, but
It's a friendly rivalry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Finley Termite, and then there's obviously us, Twin Termite. We've been in business about double the amount of time that they have. So we work together very closely on that. But that's kind of where we stem from as far as the company. And his whole goal was to be professional and to basically cater to the real estate agent and the real estate industry. So in our industry, and the way he kind of looked at it is that we support all of you. And all of you are supporting all of your clients, which are all of our clients when it comes all the way back around in the circle. So not only do we do termite inspections, but we also do home inspections. We do all of our in-house repairs, and we also have our full pests bi-monthly, monthly, and one-time pest services. So we try to not only just connect with the clients and with you via termite home inspections, but then also to continue the service and continue the care of that property that we also tend to with our pest services that we provide. So it's kind of been a circle that he's created within the company, and that's kind of like how we thrive is if there is no you, there is no us. And so we kind of look at it that way when we're trying to improve where we can get better as a company. One of the things that I like to bring up in all the presentations, and we go over this a lot, especially with newer agents, or agents that are kind of coming back into the business, is the California Association of Realtors asked a question to different clients, and what was the most important reason for selecting the agent that you selected for the purchase of your home? So why do you guys think that someone would select you as an agent? What would be one reason? Experience, knowledge, yeah, right? So a lot of times people say referrals, or they say a friend or a family member, or someone that I saw driving by who I always see out and about on the signs, or whatever they choose. When they did the survey, this is how it kind of came up. And I like to kind of point out that one of the least on the list was the most qualified.
Yes, they want somebody who's going to respond.
They want somebody who's going to respond. And
We live in a time where it's immediate.
Mhm.
You know, if you order something, you want it immediate, you want it next day. So yeah, it makes sense that the most responsive gets first.
Yeah, and the market has kind of changed in the way that and the industry's kind of changed in the way people connect. We've got social media, we've got the internet, everything is just kind of in a big wide open door. And with AI coming into things, it's just now created a whole other different opportunity out there, right? So being the most responsive, being the first person to pick up the phone and to pick up the phone when your client needs you. And so that's really important on how they pick their agents. And we also feel that's how you pick us, right? Because it's really important that we're available, that we pick up our phone, that we've got the schedule that you need and we're out there to get there in a timely manner. Right. And so one of the things that kind of sets us aside from the average company out there that is our competitor is you're not going to get a robot. You're not going to get a machine. When you call our company and you call our office, you're going to get somebody on the phone. And obviously after hours, that's going to be a different story, right? We always have our message machine, but we also have an opportunity or an option on our online website or twintermite.com where you can schedule a live schedule on a home or a termite inspection after hours. So it actually is a link on our online portal that's able to go right into our schedule and you can see exactly what's still available for that following 2 days or in the future. And so we have that option as well. So we just try to be as available as possible and to pick up the phone when you need us, right? I kind of like this slide because it's just interesting, but okay, so just a really quick overview on termite inspections. I'm sure most of you have already been here and done this, but on the what we consider our pest inspection is also, yeah, thank you. You're amazing. For termite inspection, AKA a lot of people know it as a pest inspection. We hear that a lot. It's technically considered a WDO, which is a wood destroying organism report. And that's one of the two most important reports that you want to know, want to understand, and you want to go over with your clients. A lot of you have already dealt with this, so I'm sure you're fully familiar with it, but it is a 10-foot high visual inspection that they do on the property. So the only thing that's going to be on that report, and this is just the termite report, it's only going to have any wood destroying organism. So that's going to be your termites, you're going to be your dry rot,
wood-boring ants, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to have your rodent or other things that might be seen on the property on that particular report. Yes.
Does it include fences?
No, it does not include the fence. It only includes the structure itself. It includes decks that are attached to the house. If you have a secondary structure that you want inspected as well, detached garage, whatever, we can do that as well.
So like decks or pergolas or something, can you not include them on the report or you have to?
I'll refer that to.
Yeah, you can do a limited report and you can also put in there that this particular report is everything excluding the deck. It depends on how it's attached to the home. Because they do say that if you step out from the home onto the deck, that technically is included as part of the home. But there's lots of ways, and I always tell people to talk to your advisors, talk to your mentors, and find the best solution because every deck is so different and every property is there's so many different ways that you can look at it and play around with that. So there's options there. You don't have to always include it. And because there's, no matter how we look at it, even with our inspectors, most of them, when they see decks, they know that they're going to come into a pretty solid project. There's a good chance that there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done.
That's not something people pay attention to on maintaining as much as a house, right?
Right.
Exactly. They figure that, you know, if a
It's
board breaks,
outside.
if a board breaks,
Yeah.
we can replace it. It's whatever. Well, they don't replace the board when it gets a little bit weathered. Now that it's weathered, now the dry rot starts to set in. And now because they kicked that down the road, half of the entire plank, you know, half of the deck needs to be replaced because they just kept kicking it down the road. So yes, we understand that.
And it's like a safety thing, you know,
Right.
because there's so many now lawsuits of these decks that are failing. Now they come out with a whole nother thing where everyone has to get every apartment building and commercialized building has to get their decks inspected and improved now. So there's that going on just because there have been a lot of accidents. So it's really important that the structure is a safety structure that we're looking at the safety hazards of it as well. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about carpenter bead? You guys?
Yep.
Okay.
That's on there as well. So one thing that is going to come up and comes up pretty often is I get phone calls, well, why didn't my pest inspector note that I had wasps or they
Right.
didn't note that I had ants? It's because it's a misleading name, pest inspection.
Right.
People think rodents and ants and bees and all that stuff are pests. All they're
They
looking
are.
for is wood. They
Yeah,
are.
yeah, they are.
But all they're looking for and what they are trained to do is look for wood destroying organisms only. So dry rot,
Yeah.
bees,
Mhm.
ants, beetles, termites, that's all in their wheelhouse. But just regular ants or anything like that.
Wasp farming.
Wasps are something I'm gonna note, something that as a home inspection that I'm gonna say, yeah, you have, wasps up there. You have a bird's nest in your rafter tails.
Right.
We wanna see that taken out. I see rodent activity. I have to note that. I can't tell you if it's current or not, but there's rodent activity going on right there or something like that. That's where the home inspection comes in. And we point those things out and tell you where to go to get them fixed and who to call to get them fixed. Where the wood destroying organisms, they're solely looking for that. They're there to tell you what is damaged, how much that damage is going to cost to replace, and how long it's going to take for us to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of just a quick little example. Obviously, we've got dry rot going on. This I find is just fascinating. Two different versions of termite tubes, one from the ceiling on the top right-hand corner. Believe it or not, that's coming from the ceiling. And some people, if you don't know what these things look like, you wouldn't recognize it. You wouldn't necessarily know, oh, that's a termite situation, right? You can see this coming up out of the floor, out of the ceiling, or out of the carpet as well, but they basically have to create these little mud tubes in order to travel. And so that's what they're doing to get from one place to the next. Same thing down here. This is coming out of the ground and underneath the foundation. So on a raised foundation, this is a sub or a termite tube, but it's kind of, it almost looks
Subterranean
like coral. Yeah. Almost looks like coral, but
Yeah.
our termite inspectors love finding this stuff. They are a very special breed of people who get in between 12 to 18 inches of area and climb around and get excited and take pictures of this stuff. So we appreciate them because it's one of those things that we wouldn't want to do ourselves as a homeowner. I know that for a fact. So like he was saying, things that are not a wood destroying organism, your typical pests like your centipedes, your ants, your spiders, that stuff. Bugs, rodents, that comes into a whole different situation we'll get into in a second. And then also mold. One of the things that we do is we refer you to a mold specialist, but our company does not. They might think that there's a possibility it's a mold, so I think you should get it checked out by a mold specialist. And that might be a recommendation from the home inspector, but that would be it.
What about, Mark, what about when you can't crawl or do you have limited reports on a regular
So-
basis, or what do you do about that?
We would call for it to either be dug out so we
Yes,
can
good.
get across. Actually ran into one earlier this week where two crawl space entrances, one I had access to and could have made it all the way around the house. The other one was blocked off by plants and I don't want to step on their lilies and stuff and crush their plants to get into the other side. The only thing that was stopping me from getting all the way around the house was they had a sump pump and they had the trench dug out. That was probably the size of the Grand Canyon. And it was just too much for me to crawl over.
Right.
So that is something that we would say, hey, when you have a chance, if you're going to pull these plants out, call us back out. We'll do a re-inspection of that side of the house because we don't have access to it. So yes, we do the limited report and there's just notes on there that will state we don't have access. We're going to recommend it either gets dug out or we need to let it dry out. It's
Right.
been really wet lately. And once that sub area has dried out, call us back out. We'll come out and finish that part of the report.
Yeah, and the drying out part is now it's great, but we've had them literally racing the storms. Like, okay, we've got 36 hours of dryness. So, and they're trying to get re-inspections done to get under homes
Yeah.
before it gets wet again. So we try our best to work with the weather and that kind of stuff. Now it's coming into great weather and we're ready to get, those kinds of things done pretty quickly. But excavation is a common thing sometimes on older homes, especially in like the older towns. Downtown Sacramento was a big deal too. They have a lot of issues of getting all the way in and under.
And it seems like it was houses that were built in the 60s and the 70s.
Right,
This has nothing to do with anything. It's just they did that much space. They
Right.
said, that's how much you need. That's all we're gonna give you. and good luck getting
They
a
should have
press.
just did a slab.
Yeah, exactly. But when you have houses that were built in the thirties and the forties, like you can walk in and just,
I know,
yeah, no, we're good, yeah, that's all we need.
Yeah. So I would say one of the most important things that we always talk about on our termite inspections, whether you have a VA loan or you've got any loan out there, is a section 1 clearance and having any section 1 items that are found on your report. These are the items that are already an issue. They're already a problem. It's already damage done to the home. That could be an active infestation of your termites, drywood termites, or the subterranean termites. More subterranean in this area, but we are seeing some drywood termites coming out. Active infestation, or infection, and then obviously any kind of problem or damage like your dry rot and that kind of stuff. They go around, our termite inspectors go around with these, and I'm sure you've seen them. They almost look like really like a rod with a poker at the end. And they're not there to go damage your home. You are going to hear the tapping, and you're going to see them kind of pushing into certain areas that they're questioning. But it's just a question to see the integrity of the actual wood, to see if right behind that seal of paint, it's completely hollow. That's not necessarily a termite situation, but that's most likely a dry rot, and that particular door is on the outside of that man door of the garage, which is very common. So anyway, so those are items that you can fix. And that's where our in-house contractors come in handy, because you're only dealing with us. They're fully licensed and capable, and then we guarantee all of our work for a year. So you have that kind of a little bit of a safety net too once it's done. If there's any things to arise, that you can always come back to us. Section 2 items are the items on the report that are going to lead to damage, lead to issues, lead to problems. And that's what I really love about the home inspector side of things, because they really help the client. Or for me, like I bought a house in July, and it was just getting the knowledge of the home and what was a quick fix item, and what is something that needs to be done now, and what is something that needs to be done in the next 6 months, kind of thing. Anything that's going to be leading to damage, any of the moisture leaks, that kind of stuff, that's what they're looking for. That's going to be noted on a section 2 of the termite inspection as well. Those are kind of like get it done, right? Huge on the repairs. Did I just skip a bunch? No, I think I just said that. We do all of our in-house repairs. We've actually added 2 more guys to our team, and between the 2 of them, they have over 15 years of experience. And they do just about everything. So my parents just had $5,000 worth of work done to their house, and they're now in escrow. So it's exciting for them. But it was great to see it firsthand on how we do things. And again, that guarantee of kind of knowing that you've got that support for us when it comes to the quality and the service, and then our guarantee at the end of it, right? So we always talk about, we always have a neighbor, somebody. I call my Am I going backwards? I'm going backwards. I call my dad Handy Randy. My dad is amazing. I love him. But sometimes if you don't get it done by a professional, whether you use us or you use another company, the one thing that you don't get a lot of the times is that guarantee and that kind of safety net that we offer in case anything were to go wrong or come up after the repair is done. So non-contractor repairs, aka Handy Randy, is a common thing that we have. We see it a lot up in the Placer County area, because a lot of people who live up there also do a lot of their own work. So the challenge with this is this particular job that we had here. We came out, we gave them a bid. They had Handy Randy come and fix it. Then they had us come back to kind of give the clearance on the home for the section 1. And what we found, our inspector found, is that they basically pulled off the trim and just replaced the new trim on top. So the report called for replace dry rotted trim around the chimney, all the way down the face of the chimney. This is a big, tall chimney. When the Handy Randy pulled it off, he saw that there was dry rot behind it, but instead of fixing it or calling for a supplemental bid, right, something to kind of say, hey, there's more damage than we thought, he just put the new trim on and called it a day. So the problem with that is that's dry rot. Dry rot, it has like little fingers. It'll continue to just rot away at the wood of your home. So for us, if we would have had that work done, we would have pulled off that small little trim, seen that there was extra damage, had a supplemental report done of the extra that we found, negotiate where we can work with you on that, and then replace the whole thing, because ultimately it's the integrity of the home, right? And they call it lipstick on a pig, it's just pretty much what it ends up being. So we always just, whether you get it done through us or get it done through the company that you use or somebody who's licensed and bonded, just make sure they're licensed and bonded. And if they say they're an independent contractor and they show up with 5 people, there's a good chance none of them have workman's comp. And so you also have to think about those kind of things too. If they get hurt on the property, then it becomes a homeowner issue. So there's just so many things that go along with it. And I love the fact that companies like us, we cover the bases, we cover our butts. No better word to say other than that, and make sure that we can make it happen. So this was what was behind the trim once we came back out to re-inspect. So he literally just covered it up. And again, you know, we don't, yeah. Inaccessible areas, just to really touch on this really quickly, this is probably self-explanatory. This is legitimately an actual home in Sacramento that was found like this, and our termite and home inspectors were out there. We try to have our termite and home inspectors out there at the same time if we can. We call it a double play, and it's just really nice to have 2 sets of eyes on the home. They talk to each other, they go over, they in case for some reason something's missed on one, you've got a second set that are there looking at the same things. So really important that you get the accessible areas for our inspectors, because otherwise they call for a re-inspection. Sometimes that's for a termite, it's $95 to come back and re-inspect. It can be very expensive, and we don't like to come back as a home inspector to re-inspect. So as much as you can get everything away from the house, away from the walls, in a garage situation.
So in a garage, for the pest inspection, they want everything pulled back just a few inches from the wall so they can see all the way across. I want everything, as much as you can put in the middle of the garage, put it in the middle. I need access to your sub panel that's in there, your heater that's in there, your water heater that's in there. I need to see the firewall. I need to see outlets so I can test those. Those are things at a home inspection where that's how much more in-depth we go. Where, you know, just an inch or 2 around the walls is perfectly fine for a pest inspection. A home inspection is going to be a lot more in-depth as far as that's concerned. And I always tell people, like, I don't care how much stuff you have, put it in the middle, leave me a little pass so I can get to the garage door and test the big garage door in between. But other than that, I just need access to those things, move them out of the way as much as possible so I can get to those. If you've got your washer dryer in there, I need access to all of the appliances, all of the outlets, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is always,
And
for
it's
some
common.
reason, it's a common and it's an issue. We talked about decks a little bit, but basically, just know too that there's almost always gonna be a finding if it's wood.
Yeah.
There's the new trucks and all that kind of stuff out there, which is really cool stuff, and I do find that the integrity of that is way better. But once they usually pop one board off, it's gonna be a joist, it's gonna be something that is gonna have a structural integrity problem. And no inspector wants to call that it's safe if it's not. So just know, like I said, talk to your advisors, your mentors. Every house is different, every deck is different. And then if they do have a deck and you call in, let us know if there's something that you want to do as far as being in a limited, do a deck inspection and then do a home inspection. So you don't have to put them together if you don't want. This is kind of what this is not what kind of, this is exactly what your termite inspection report is gonna look like. I always say it kind of looks like an Etch-a-Sketch. It is very much a 1980s form right now, and it has always been. This is through the Structural Pest Board of California. They eventually will get up to date with technology, but right now this is what they ask every single termite inspection company to send in to them to keep on file. So this is exactly how you'll get your report. This is the front page. And I like to just show this one because this is the one that kind of gives you an idea, or just is really important to look at the front page to make sure you know what report you're looking at. Because sometimes you'll have a complete report, an original, a limited, a supplemental. You want to make sure, sometimes they always look kind of the same on the front. Make sure that you're looking at the right one when you're going through it with your client. But on the top here, whether it's a complete report, a limited supplemental reinspection, making sure that whatever box is checked there, and
Yeah,
then.
so like further inspection, that'd be nice to know as the agent that there's further inspection before getting the report that it needs further inspection. You know what I'm saying?
If
Like,
you're there,
yeah.
while the pest inspector's there, they will do a walkthrough with you and they will let you know, like, okay, you've got dry rot over here, that crawl space access, I was able to get in, I can't get to all of it, you've got duct work underneath there, that old metal stuff, I can't get underneath it, we need somebody to dig it out, I'll call for further inspection. They are very good about communicating their findings, not leaving you kind of like high and dry, like, well, just wait till it comes out. We always recommend you be there when the pest inspection is there and when the home inspection is there. That way you're not shell shocked when you get the reports.
Yeah, but we also try to do really good at communicating, so we're really working hard, we got all of our guys new iPads to have right there in their car, so they can get a lot of reports and stuff done and put into the office right away. But also connecting on a situation like that where they need a reinspection, all of our inspectors are trained to know in the real estate world, every second counts. So if they do need a reinspection, you need to let them know ASAP, whether it's a quick text on your way out, hey, I'm leaving the property. By the way, I couldn't get to the sub area, it was too wet or it was inaccessible, right? If you want to do a reinspection, I can go to the office or later on today and we can connect with them and get you on a schedule ASAP. We'll make it a rush, or there's so many ways about it. That's why I always say keep our cards, because if you ever have that situation and you need to get a rush on a scheduled inspection, that's where we try to work our magic in the office with the staff. To kind of get behind the scenes and see where we can move things around. So it's really important for that our inspectors are also communicating with you guys 100%. I know most of them are really good at that. Tyrus, especially if he has any issues when he's leaving the property, he'll come right out and let you know. So, with the, I guess I don't know if somebody said, with the diagram there and the Etch-a-Sketch diagram, for those of you who may not know, that's going to show all the findings, and those letters and numbers, the 5B, 3B, 5A, those all represent something within the next pages to follow, and those are going to look like this. So this is what our inspections look like. It is not like everyone's out there. A lot of inspection companies don't use photos. We think it's really, really important to have photos on there, not only for the client, but also for you to help the client understand exactly where these are. Every inspection will always have finding, recommendation, and picture. Next one, finding, recommendation, and picture. And this is our recommendation from our inspectors. So these recommendations are kind of all placed on each of those findings on that front page off of your diagram. And then at the end, you'll have your bid sheet. And these bid sheet here, each number there represents each finding on the front page as well, and how much it's going to cost to get that done. And so you can see in the report, you've got section 1, below that section 2, and then further inspection underneath that for any 5A and any of those issues.
are those amounts negotiable?
They are negotiable to an extent. So yeah, so we try to be very fair, and that's what I like to explain to everybody, especially for companies like us in the industry. We want your work. We want to do the work for you.
Right.
That's the only thing we make money off. We make less than $50 off of each termite inspection, and we want to make sure that inspectors get paid decent money. So our whole goal is to bid fairly, to find comparable prices within the area that we're bidding for, and then talking with the clients, and then giving more options instead of just saying this is the only option.
Right.
Usually there's a cheaper option and more expensive, right? There's a Z-bar option where it may not the perfect aesthetic look for somebody who wants a flat surface, but the flat surface is going to be 4 times as much. So knowing, you know, a whole sheet of T111 versus that whole, so
You've
we
been
just like to
through it
give
before,
options.
huh?
Yeah, you get lots of options, and I think options are important.
T111 is a nightmare.
It is. I have it all
It
over
is.
my house, yes. So and even when she was talking, like, do you go to Stockton? We don't like to say no.
Right.
Call us and we'll see what we can do, because there's a lot of times we have, inspectors all over that are relatively close to those areas too. So
Yeah.
this is what your bid sheet's gonna look like. And then again, after that, you can kind of, talk with your client on how you want to get things fixed or done and repaired. The other side of things, obviously on our home inspection side or our inspection side is our home inspections. I'm gonna take this over here to Charles and.
So you guys all have the little flyers that are in front of you. This is basically the inside of the flyer. And it's kind of giving you an overview of what we look at. And to make it simple, top to bottom. I'm gonna look at your roof, if I can get on your roof. If it's a one-story house, if it doesn't have concrete tile, those get to be a little slippery. If it's not raining outside, if the pitch is just right, I can get up there, I can take a look. If not, I can look at it from the ground level. 2 stories, it's gonna get a little harder, obviously. But I'm going to look at basically everything on that house that I have. I am going to look at your attic space. I am going to check the banisters on the stairs. I'm gonna check every light switch, every outlet I have access to, test everything. With the exception of just a handful of small appliances, I will test everything in that house that I have access to. And if something's wrong, I will let you know that something's wrong. If everything's fine, then great, good luck, because I've never seen a house where everything was fine. But I'll crawl underneath the house if I have to. If that's what it takes, that is what my job entails. I look at everything. Some of the things that I find on a semi-regular basis, we start up here with the air conditioner. You got a little bit of rust on it, normal. I'm not really concerned about that. But the other one, that little white spot that's right there on the bottom, that's actually pet urine. And I have to note that as pet urine because there's no known fix for that. You are gonna have to replace the entire air conditioner just because that pet urine eats those fins up just so quick. It will eventually, this is actually mild compared to what I have seen. I have seen just giant holes in those fins because they've had a dog that's been weeing on it for years and they've never stopped it, never had the thought process to be like, oh, well, maybe I should put something over it. So see that fairly often, especially with male dogs. Underneath the house here, like if you have, this is what I would consider normal rusting on cast iron drains. This is what I see. It is because it's iron, so it's going to rust a little bit on the outside, but I'll put a note on the report, on every report where I see that type of plumbing that notes that it actually rusts from the inside. That hole will slowly close up over time because that rust just continuously builds and builds and builds. And we used to have a really good picture of a pipe underneath the house where you could see you had about that much space. And that's just what happens. So anytime you have a house that's going to have that has that old cast iron stuff, have a plumbing inspection done. Have those lines scoped to make sure that, you know, there's actually room for things to be flushed down it and it doesn't clog up super quick. This one over here, just a normal leak. Just a leak, not exactly sure where that one was coming from. It's kind of hard to tell in the picture, but I'm sure on the report it said. But just what we're looking for. Now we've got some ductwork over here. That plastic that covers the flexible ductwork, it's a really, really thin piece of plastic. And when you have it in the attic space heats up and cools off, heats up and cools off. Over time, just kind of degrades that plastic. And, you know, if we see it, we note it, we're going to recommend that you have a HVAC company come out, take a look at it, see if it can just be taped up, if it just needs to be rewrapped, or, you know, what needs to happen to it if it's perfectly fine the way that it is. We don't know, we just say, hey, it's obviously ripped, let's have somebody come out and take a look at it. Oh, here's the fun stuff. So these are the things that I get really excited to see. This first one right here, what is that? The third wire down, fourth wire up, that white one. Obviously something had touched it. It has arced, it's sparked. There's something going on there. It's obviously going to come up as a health and safety issue. And I am definitely going to tell your client, let's have somebody out here immediately. I don't want a house fire to start. I don't know when it happened, how long ago it happened, but I know it happened. So let's have somebody come out and take a look at it. This one down here, kind of hard to see with the bar in the middle of it. But you have your heater off to this side. And on all these shelves right here, you have paint, you have brake cleaner, you've got wood cleaner, you've got all these chemicals right next to your fire heater. And this particular garage, all of the ventilation around the garage had been closed off. So as soon as I opened it up, all I could smell was brake cleaner. And thank God I opened everything up and got it aired out before I turned that heater on. Because if that heater had, just had a spark or anything else, could have sent the whole house up. And then, speaking of heaters, this is something I find pretty common. That top corner picture right there, what's taped off there is an emergency kill switch. And I find it on I don't want to say every house I inspect, but it's fairly common. And what it is some point in time, you had an HVAC company come out and do some repairs, take a look at it. Well, they tape that off so they can test it while all the panels are off. And they always forget to take that tape off. It's something very simple. It does need to be taken off, but it will still come up as a health and safety issue because your client needs to know about it. They need to know that if they take that cover off, it shuts off immediately. If there's any issue with it, then, if that tape made it gummed up and now it doesn't shut off immediately, that can be an issue when somebody goes to work on it. And if it's on, they go to pull that off, they can very easily burn themselves. So definitely some of those things that I want to take a look at and want to let your clients know. And here's something that I was just completely baffled to find. You have the sprinkler heads underneath the house of a mobile home. I don't know why they were underneath the house. They were blocked off completely. You had no access to them. They were leaking horribly. But for whatever reason, it doesn't come up as a health and safety, anything like that. But we definitely want to relocate those. You need access to those. You need to know if they're leaking, and you can't tell if they're directly underneath the house. So just some of the things that I find that are interesting. And then, so these are some of the things that I find where it wasn't necessarily, that was Handy Randy that came in and threw that bracket up. They literally just put a couple of wedges in there and then just randomly put some screws in that bracket and said, okay, well, that's your foundation. It's going to hold. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So obviously unprofessional, something that we're going to take a look at. And if it doesn't look like the thousands of other pillars that I've seen underneath the house, I'm going to tell you to have somebody come out and take a look at it because I don't want your house to shift. We've seen this picture before, but the reason why we put it on this side is because of that flexible pipe right there. So that flexible pipe is used in an emergency situation and you can't get to the plumbing store to get the right pipe to get your drain to go. It got clogged up at some point in time. You just took the pipe out, you slap that one in, you've got it flowing again and you're good to go. The only problem is those ridges, those start to build up dirt faster. And what happens when your drain slows down? Pour some Drano down it, and Drano will eat right through that and you're back at square one. So that will be noted as, in my opinion, it's an action item, something I want to see taken care of sooner than later. It's not an issue today because the water was draining through it. There's a little bit of dirt in there, whatever, but let's get it taken care of because it will clog up and you will pour Drano down it and you will end up with another leak because the Drano is going to eat right through that. And then that's the other part is we always recommend that the client and the agent are there for the walkthrough. It's probably one of the parts of my job that I really love the most. I love talking to first-time home buyers. I am the bearer of bad news. I am there to tell people what is wrong with the house that they're about to spend their life savings on. But I'm also there to tell them it can be fixed. Anything can be fixed. It's just my job to tell you what it is that's wrong with it. So it's something that I really enjoy. I'm not there to scare your clients. I'm there to be black and white. Here's my issues. Here's how we fix them. Here's who you call to fix them. But it's when you see them at the beginning of the inspection or the beginning of the walkthrough, and they're like a deer in the headlights. And by the end of it, everybody's relaxed. Everybody's like, okay, there's a lot going on here, but it's manageable. So those are, I feel good after the end of those particular walkthroughs. So.
Yeah, and I think it's what I like about our reports on the home side of things is that we take a lot of pictures of the things that are right and the things that need to be fixed. So we're looking at the livability of the home. And our whole goal is to be like, this home is great. Yeah, it was built in the 1960s. It has character. It has a little bit of work that needs to be done here. These things we're gonna, recommend that you get looked at. But the whole idea is to keep them excited about the home they're there to purchase, but to also for them to be fully aware of the things that they need to attack now and the things they're gonna need to attack later after the purchase, right? And the other thing I love about, and I always try and tell all agents, is to be there for that walkthrough, because this particular walkthrough with a home inspector is, their program is great. They show you exactly what they're looking at. They, everything's color coded when you get the report. It's just so well done. And the one thing that you will notice is that there will be no bid at the end of this. If you ever get a home inspection that has a bid at the end for work, you need to get a different company to do your home inspection, because it is their code of ethics that they're not allowed to put any kind of bid or price attached to anything for 366 days after they inspect a home.
Yeah.
So there should be no personal interest on making money from this inspection. It should just be purely educational and
Informational.
yeah, and
Yeah.
informational, but still, like you said, not scary, right? So I love this program that we use because it's so easy for the client.
And the other thing that I love about it is it's so readable. It's very much like our pest reports, where it is finding picture. This is what we saw, there's the picture. This is what we saw, there's the picture of it. It's telling you what type of plumbing you have or where the shutoff is. We have directions on it where the gas shutoff is on the right side of the house. That way, hey, that's what it looks like, and that's where you need to go to shut the gas off if you ever need to shut all the gas off.
It's like super informative. Like, this isn't a bad picture. This is telling them, hey, this is where you shut it off. So where do you find that on your home in the back of the house, right? Like, it's like such a great detailed report. Anyways.
I know that I personally have seen home inspection reports that my friends have been like, oh, hey, I just bought a house and they already have the home inspection done. So will you take a look at this and tell me what you think? And I'm looking at it and I can't read it because it's finding. Next page, finding, picture. Like, now I have to do a little graph to try and figure out what exactly are you talking about? Where's the picture of what you're talking about? It is mind-blowing how complicated some home reports can be. And it really doesn't make sense to me because I know how simple they can be. They can be extremely informative, but very easy to read.
The color coded thing is like my kind of jam. So I'm like, okay, you tell me green is good, red is bad, orange needs looked at. So the other side of things really quickly that we also do are rodent inspection and repairs. So obviously you're not going to see you're not going to see any rodent verbiage on the termite inspection. The home inspector might know that there's rodent activity, either droppings or he sees some type of activity and we recommend getting a rodent inspection. We will do that, and we will also take that $75 for the rodent inspection and we'll put it towards the work if you need to get any of the any of it done, repairs done, or get rats or rodents eradicated in general. Our inspectors come out and even when the home inspector, when they go up on top of the roof and they're looking at different parts to see if there's any areas there might be any rodent accessibility where they can get access to your attics. But our rodent inspections will also go through that. They will close up any areas that they find access to. They will then set the traps. They will come back and maintain the traps. Once they've kind of gotten rid of all of the rodents, then they will do all the cleanup. We can also do any repair that needs to be done. And then if there's an installation that needs to be blown back in, we'll also do that for you, or we can also sub that out to a different company as well. And get that all taken care of.
I think Amy
All
had a question.
sanitizing. Yeah.
Amy had a question.
Oh, Amy, yes.
Yeah, so there was a question in the chat box. It's a little off topic, but still in line. They were wondering if you did new inspections, home inspections for new builds.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is something that we, yeah, it's no other way to put it. It's something that we do. Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what year the house was built, we'll go there.
right. And it, obviously the new builds are a little less time consuming on some of the aspects of it because we know that that's all obviously new material and that kind of things, but the inspection still ends up being the same. And yeah, I think our inspectors like the new builds more.
As
To
a
be
whole,
honest.
yeah, it goes a little
Yeah, I
faster.
guess it depends on the builder, yeah. But that's where the home inspector is really great because they can always, they in-depthly look at all that kind of stuff too, so. Thank you
And
for the question.
Like I had said earlier, there's no such thing as the perfect home. I have been in new homes where outlets weren't working the way that they were supposed to. So there's no such thing as the perfect house. They're never all perfect.
They always talk about having any house that's 20 years or older are gonna have some kind of finding somewhere along the way. Rodents are a big part of it. Seasonally, rodents can be an issue. Right now, we're finding more of them being an issue than obviously when it starts raining, they all try to find places to hide and nest down for the winter. So we kind of do it all. Sanitizing is also a huge part of this. So when we do any exclusions and repairs and cleanups, sanitization is also a big part. So that's the other side of things that we do with our bi-monthly service. And then obviously we take care of all of your ants, spiders, wasps, mosquitoes, cockroaches, potato bugs, everything. So quick story, I have pest service. I've never had pest service in my life. Bought a house and it's 3.5 acres. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get something because we've got the spiders, we've got the whole 9 yards. The Twin's been doing it now since August of last year. I haven't had a single bug inside my house, first of all, which has been awesome. And I try to live with one when it comes to the country life, so I don't like them to spray too much crazy outside, but just enough to kind of like not keep them coming in my door. But I also, so that has been amazing. You don't even notice they're there. They come by monthly, but if there's ever any issue, like you see that there's ants or you find that, oh, I saw a cockroach and it wasn't dead, then we'll come in between our services for free. So that's never an issue. So that's what I love about it too. And I last week had a skunk underneath my barn. And so we have gotten a couple of these new traps that humanely trap the skunk to where they can't lift up their tail, so they can't spray you, but they're totally fine in this tube. And then we go and we just relocate them out into the fields versus out into residential areas. So that is just something that we
Are
are
you
really
sure about that? Because there's a lot of skunks in my neighborhood.
we don't go out, we're not out there and promoting it and advertising that we're amazing skunk trappers, but what we're finding is that it is needed, especially in some of these homes where the skunk's in there, you're trying to get an inspection done and you want to get this house on the market or you want to buy it, and these all sometimes nature has other plans, so we also have that option too. So it's just kind of a neat thing, but the pest service that we have is awesome and we take care of you. If you guys call me, message me, we'll give you $100 off your first service, or basically it comes $75 by monthly, so $100 off your yearly service if you want it. And then don't forget, we always do 50% off all of our VA loan termite inspections. So VA loans are huge down here. We are huge supporters of them. I know Charles always wears red on Friday. VAs,
You know.
yeah, VAs in general are a huge part of our community up in the Sacramento area as well. So we will always honor 50% off our termite inspections for them, and that will never expire. So even though it says here to use this code, please just let our office know that it's a VA loan and we'll give you that discount. We will also are very familiar with the NP33 form for your Section 1 clearance. So there's been some companies that either charge for that for you to get that signed off for your VA loan to go through quicker for your Section 1. We do not. Again, we just ask that you let us know that it is a VA loan so that we can have that ready and on board. So the minute it gets that clearance, we get that form out to you right away. Then you can send it in with your loan and get things going quicker. The only other thing is that I'm Christy. Hi. And I'm everything client related. I have made cookies for agents and I've shown up at their open houses. I have sat there and chatted with them and kept them company. We love doing presentations. There's no, we don't have reps for our company. We have 48 employees. And I am the only person that goes to, to the offices other than Charles. And Charles also does home inspection, so we can't pull him off the floor too much. But so just make sure that you have our contact information in your phones. If you ever have a question, just use us as a resource. We have a lot of connections in different areas, especially here. We've got an office in Vacaville, Sacramento, and Auburn. And we go all the way down into Contra Costa, Walnut Creek. We're going to be expanding into Alameda County completely. Solano, Napa, American Canyon. We pretty much do it all. And so if you have any questions of where will we go somewhere, just give
The
us a
answer is
call.
probably yes.
Yes, probably yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try not to say no too much. What other questions?
As
That was like a-
a homeowner, what are some of the best preventative maintenance things you can do to avoid these wood burrowing pests?
Well, and Charles will tap onto this. One of the posts I just put on our social media was meant for homeowners. Like, have you had a home inspection or termite inspection in the past 3 to 5 years? Especially with a home inspection. I feel like a home inspection kind of gets an eye on your home if you haven't had anyone in there to see if there's any issues arising. And then they can refer or suggest,
Yeah,
you should get
so-
things looked at.
with a home inspection, it is recommended probably once every 5 years. What happens is not you guys, I apologize. Homeowners tend to get nose blind. They're just blind to the things because they're used to seeing them all the time. So they may not realize that, their faucet handle's loose and has just a smidge of a leak going on, or that their stopper actually doesn't work properly, or there's a small pinhole leak that it's just not dripping. But it's there. It's right there on the cusp of something. They may not realize it because they're living there every day. They're not looking for those type of things. So it is recommended that a home inspection get done probably once every 5 years. With a pest inspection, to get more to your question, to be on the more preventative side, you want to be proactive, not reactive, right? So I would say to have a pest inspection done periodically takes it doesn't really take long for dry rot to set in. It just takes a long time for it to really expand out. And the key is to catching it quick. It's gonna happen. Every house is gonna have dry rot. There's not much you can do to stop dry rot. You can always spray for termites. You can always treat the house. There's always those proactive things that you can do to keep the house as safe as possible from termite damage. But with dry rot, you're just gonna have to catch it early and get it replaced quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that inspections are a big part of it. When we bought our house in July, we were able to pull up the termite inspection. One of the things that we always like to tell people too is if you see another a sticker, termite inspection company with a sticker on the garage that they inspected it, that is public information. You can get a hold of that information and see exactly what that was from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago. So my house was sold 3 years before I bought it. So I was able to see that inspection and see that there was very little findings on it to begin with. So then I kind of knew, oh, these are the findings that were already found. Then, of course, I work for a termite company. So I brought boss man Kyle out with me. And I said, you're going to be my termite inspector, inspect my house. And we kind of already knew there was already problems in areas that was on the old findings from 3 years ago from a different company. So that's always just really informative. And then now as a homeowner, I kind of have those to back up on, knowing that there's issues that I have to kind of keep an eye on and probably should get some things fixed within the next year or two before, really within the next year before it goes in further into different parts of the home, So, so I feel like the inspection parts are a really good thing to get done just periodically. Yeah. Are there any other questions online? I can't really tell. I don't think so. Well, other than that, there's going to be food here for everybody tomorrow or later today. So come in and get your food. But yeah, we appreciate you guys having us here, and we'll leave our information flyers in here, some notepads and koozies and stuff, but again, you guys, like, even if you have somebody that you love and your companies that you use, keep us for your plan B because they're not always available and we work really hard to be there.
Yeah.
So other than that, that's it.
Thank
Bye. You're welcome, you guys. Thank you.